Stupid Watergate. Basically, Watergate, but if Nixon had been kicked in the head by a billy goat, and also if that billy goat had been the White House Chief of Staff. And if you were interviewing a job applicant and they told you, just so you know, I wasn't found guilty of fucking my neighbour's mailboxes, but I also specifically wasn't found innocent. You would not necessarily rule them out, but you'd definitely think twice about hiring them. I'd like to just live for a little longer in the moment of him saying, "This is the end of my presidency, I'm fucked." In fact, I'd like to take some artistic licence to fully paint that scene for you. Trump, upon learning Robert Mueller was appointed, slumping back in his chair. Meanwhile, Ivanka is playing fetch with Don Jr. Eric's tongue is stuck to a somehow frozen flagpole. Reince Priebus is walking around with his head inside a honeypot. Jared is standing motionless directly in front of a blank wall. Steve Bannon is stress eating a bowl of used syringes. And Stephen Miller is gleefully pulling the legs off a spider. While Trump says those beautiful words as tears roll down his cheeks, "This is the end of my presidency, I'm fucked." And right at that very moment, a pigeon flies into the room and shits in his mouth. It is a masterpiece. But actually emailed .goff instead. And .goff, of course, sends you right to the server for the new HBO series Game of Flounder, where powerful flounder families fight for control of the 7 sandbars. It starts in June. This network is fucked. And of course he was confused. He was probably still trying to figure out why deceased German ice hockey goalie Robert Mueller wanted to speak with him in the first place. It is going to be hard to prove that this guy had general knowledge that his conduct could be breaking the law, or that he had general knowledge of anything at all, other than what it feels like to watch flags get more hugs from your dad than you get if you live to be 1,000. So, wow. The news that the president ordered subordinates to do things that might constitute obstruction and then they just ignored him is both reassuring and also terrifying. That's like hearing your spouse say, "You don't have to worry about the snake because the baby killed it." Well, hold on. I'm glad the snake is dead, but that means there was a fucking snake in there. And it also means our baby has snake-killing strength. I'm sorry, there's a lot to process here. I'm happy, I'm relieved, but I'm also angry and confused. You're throwing a lot of shit at me. So that's a chain of 2 people failing to follow through on a demand from the president. And he didn't stop there, because that aide then passed Trump's order off to an assistant who opened the window and shouted it to a groundskeeper who wrote it down and taped it to a Roomba that was passing by, which drove itself straight into the river, because this isn't why it got into government. Preparing to quit because you're being asked to do crazy shit isn't what you expect from the White House counsel. It's what you expect from Nicolas Cage's personal assistant. No, Nicholas! I'm not constructing a 10-foot voodoo doll of you out of rare gemstones and dead crows. I have a master's degree. This is crazy shit, Nicholas. It's crazy shit. And it's like Boss summarised the Twilight novels as a girl in Florida goes to third base with a Wookiee. No! No! That's not what happens. I'm not even sure we're reading the same underlying material. I've read the real book where a dog man falls in love with a baby. Respect the text. Honour the written word. An insult would be to say that Kellyanne Conway died many years ago and is now a skin suit occupied and operated by 300 rats who've evolved the ability to lie. That's an insult. That's what an insult is. But by reframing the investigation that way, Trump ensured that anything short of Mueller publishing 400 pages of text messages between him and Putin gaming out election fraud meant the whole thing was a complete waste of time. That is video of a Japanese mascot on a stripper pole, presumably at a strip club called "There are way more people who are into this sort of thing than you think."